Hi, it's Jeff Ogden, the fearless competitor and president of Find New Customers, with another one of our marketing thought leader interviews. Kirsten Watson is the director of corporate marketing for Kinaxis, a Canadian ERP software that competes against giant companies like SAP and Oracle. Kinaxis uses some very innovative and different marketing techniques that have worked wonderfully well for them. So I'm very happy to welcome Kirsten Watson, director of corporate marketing. Welcome, Kirsten.
Thank you.
Yes, why don't we, before we start here, why don't you just introduce yourself to our audience? I know you're Director of Marketing, but tell us a little about you and how you ended up at Kinaxis and kind of give us a little background, if you could.
Sure. Well, I've been in high-tech marketing my entire career, which is coming up on, I think, my 17th or 18th year. Based out of Ottawa the entire time, and have worked for all kinds of different companies, including Corel and Nortel and several startups. Came to Kinaxis about 7 years ago now and joined the company because of its health and strength. I think any of us from the high-tech sector have lived through some pretty scary times in the early 2000s. So I really liked the strength of the company, the length of time in business, the Fortune 500 customers, and the fact that they were really an established company operating in a startup kind of way, and that they were willing to take some risks and be bold and try new things. And so that's sort of the main core principles and the culture that captured me and won me over on wanting to be a part of it all. So other than that, I'm a married mom of two. My kids play competitive hockey, and it's that time of year when I'm not here at my office, I'm out at the hockey rink.
Wow, well, I guess you're a Canadian, so that's the game of the country, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I grew up in Indiana, so it's a basketball crazy state. So
right, of course.
Yes.
On Foursquare, I just realized the other day I'm officially the mayor of my local rink. So.
It's amazing how you can get elected on Foursquare.
Yeah.
Without doing anything. Now, you just said that you like Kinaxis because of an established company and their approach, kind of acting like a startup with big customers. But I also think that, I've worked in the enterprise software industry for years and years, and I always found them to be very, technical and, product pushing and everything. And Kinaxis seems so different, despite the fact that you've got some giant competitors.
Yeah, that's right. We do. I mean, we certainly have a very robust, deep product. I mean, on the technical side, not getting into things like the analytics and so forth, there is a lot of very deep patented technology behind our company, but what we try and bring to our way to break through the market and compete against huge competitors, like with SAP and Oracle. I mean, we don't compete directly as much as we do for wallet share, right? And we know we need to be, savvier, faster, more committed, more creative, and certainly more integrated in everything that we do, so we squeeze every bit of value out of every dollar that we spend. And I think that is sort of kind of the main thing behind what has propelled us to where we are today, is just our ability to maybe move more swiftly and having an executive team behind us that support creative thinking and are willing to take some risk. That we've done some really kind of creative, completely different things to ensure that we're getting noticed against and besides some of these big elephants.
Yeah, that is interesting. And what I also find fascinating is how did you obviously invest a lot in marketing. I would say a large portion of your budget must go to marketing. Can you shed some light on what your marketing spend is?
I can't, other than specifically stating that we're around industry average for what we spend versus overall revenue. I think it's more the creative way in which we spend it and invest it. We're also heavily committed to back-end technologies like marketing automation systems and Salesforce.com, where we measure very carefully everything we do and the effect it has on bottom line and ROI and quality lead gen, and make sure that we continue to iterate and improve against all those core metrics and sort of avoid the more not fluffier is not the right word, but we don't invest as much as other companies who have a budget and can into things that are harder to measure.
What don't you invest in? Let me ask it that way.
Sure, print advertising.
Okay.
Even some, to a degree, some online advertising, the traditional banners and so forth. I was at a conference in Boston in May, and an interesting, gentleman, the keynote speaker, whose name escapes me, had sort of presented this idea to people. If you can imagine, where we've gotten to with display advertising, are we at the point where, we're settling for second best? Have we accepted mediocrity, as his point? And he said, the world is gone social, content so important. What if we took some of our investments in display and instead applied it more towards more deep, credible, thought-provoking content instead? And so that was a big takeaway for us, because we've been doing quite a bit of that for quite some time with our blog and the community, of course, but trying to reach people kind of at the different phases of the buying cycle with the right messages and the right amount of information, not about our product necessarily, but certainly thought leadership, ways of thinking of things, ways of doing things, how to approach problems. And by doing that through content as opposed to, flashy, colorful ad displays, we felt was a better use of our investments. And so we've really leaned a lot towards investing more on the content side of things than we have on the lighter side of stuff.
Okay, that sounds interesting. One of the things, and we're going to show our listeners in just a little bit some examples of what you're doing, but you do a lot with video. Talk to us about what your strategy is in terms of just using online videos.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's a couple things behind that. One, I think nowadays, everybody has access to video online. It's no longer that medium that bogs down your system or people can't view. Videos just become commonplace, and it's such a nice, creative, engaging way to capture people's attention and get your message across in yet another medium. So driven at our very core, just to back up a minute, at everything that we do, which is primarily marketing online, is to really consider in everything we write and everything we execute the value of SEO and thinking strategically around our search engine optimization and the keywords that we care about, and tracking our success and our rankings and how people are finding us, and benchmarking how well we do on SEO against the people that we compete for that traffic. And when you think of that, and you think of the idea of creating something like, for example, a white paper, which is a fairly traditional thing, to develop and put to market. But if you think of how else you can leverage that one piece of content to recycle, reuse, repurpose it, we often will take a white paper and then sit down just ourselves in our office, like it might be me with, another director who's develop the material or develop the piece, and sit down and video interview them on, okay, you've just written this white paper on this topic, you make this point, tell me more about it. Now suddenly we have a piece of video content. We can then from there strip the audio out of that, make a podcast, and we can start to place and publish these pieces to different third-party sites with tags and link backs, right? Everybody knows about the SlideShare, and of course there's YouTube for videos and things like that. So that's kind of largely been our strategy, is to try and make sure that we make our content available in many mediums, video of course being a prime one, just because it's so highly consumable and easy for people to digest. And of course, I think you've probably seen or will be showing what it is we've done on the comedic side of things too. We have a great sense of humor within our organization. It's one of the things I value most about working here. But in addition to that, we know that our marketplace, supply chain, if you know anything about what it's like to live in the world of managing complex supply chains in a world that's both global and competitive and at risk of constant unexpected change, that you need a good laugh. So we sort of decided that was going to be one of the things that we would offer up to the market, is that sort of place to come and get lots of good, solid, rich content, about how to solve problems or consider problems and discuss with peers what it is that you need to do day to day to manage your supply chain better, but at the same time offering that lighthearted side of it too, that everybody can take a chuckle and at least feel like they're not alone in the work that they do.
Yes, Kirsten, I think that was an interesting approach. One of the things which I was talking to another company, and I said it seems like it lacks personality. And that's one thing with, your Just for Laughs section with Uncle Jay and the Late Supply Chain and Kinaxis TV and, of course, Sweetmates. You've got just so many things out there. In fact, why don't we pause here and we'll just take a look at one of the clips from Sweetmates. And let's pause a second.
Yeah.
Cry-eye, Hans. Are we going to sit here all day or are we going to tango?
Eli, we have a deal.
It's a merger!
I look forward to doing my business on you.
You said that wrong, but I forgive you. We just became the richest enterprise software company in the world! It's official. Bilk, ERP, and Softmore are now Bilk More.
Your wildest dreams have come true. You're welcome.
Yeah. Better get used to this face, buddy. You're gonna be seeing it every day for the rest of your life. Guilty. Lights out. You know, I think prison gets kind of a bum rap. I mean, once you learn to assert yourself and use a toilet with people watching, what's so bad about it?
Well, for one thing, that's not dental floss.
Hans, Eli, your lawyers are here.
We've both defended some bad guys, but don't these two seem a little shadier than most?
Everyone deserves a fair trial, Rick.
Which they got.
Maybe, maybe not. We're taking the not position. Remember that.
Well, hello.
Gentlemen, I'm Melanie McPherson
Of course you are.
of Stanley & Simmons. This is my associate, Rick Christopher.
Hey, Rick.
Oh, we have a lot of work ahead of us to prepare for your appeal, so please take a seat and let's get started.
I like when she tells me what to do.
Charming. Now, it seems to me that your previous counsel didn't have all their bases covered.
And that's why they're fired.
I wanted to have them all flayed, but there was too much red tape.
You're kidding, right?
Yes, I'm a notorious jokester. Always ready with a chuckle. We have not done anything illegal.
Well, we'll still have to address some of the allegations, like how you increased mandatory yearly maintenance fees to an arbitrary 25% simply to bolster revenue.
Arbitrary?
It's for a customer's own good. Paying more for maintenance lets them believe that any troubles they may encounter will all be fixed. They won't, of course, but it gives them peace of mind.
You also sold contracts for upgrades without mentioning that implementing the upgrades would cost tens of millions of dollars in in-person service fees.
Well, yes, if you mention it, they won't sign up. Nobody wants to pay more for service, do they?
And those upgrades were trumped up to fix critical defects you already knew about, like the Y2Day bug.
Yes. Oh, that was a cute little bug.
I missed that bug.
A flaw in the base code caused all of our programs to show today's date as tomorrow.
And don't you know we had to replace every single suite? That gorgeous little glitch made us a fortune.
But if it was your mistake, how can you justify charging the customer?
They're buying old codes. The upgrade she was talking about was filled with new code. Listen, Poindexter, your job is not to determine if what we did is right or wrong, okay? Your job is to get us back out there so that we can make a lot more money, some of which we're going to give to you. So let's not focus on all the piddly little details.
Like your conviction, those details?
Those are the ones.
We know how to find where you sleep. I'm just saying.
For more That concludes part 1 of our interview with Kirsten Watson. In part 2, we're going to talk more about these funny episodes, so we hope you'll tune in. Thanks.